Okay, I'm here. This is an unusual camera angle. We have Franklin in the back seat looking for one of his toys right now. And in this video, I'm going to go over some tips you can use if you have a dog that is protective of the car. Now, Franklin had a very unpleasant experience. He actually was in a house that caught on fire. And when the fire department came, they didn't know what to deal with it. And he was freaked out, obviously. They put him in the Guardian's car. And then there was lights and sirens and fire hoses and all sorts of craziness stuff that happened. And that created a negative association. So now, when he is in the car at a drive-through, he gets growly and lungy towards people. Now, I've met him. I just spend a lot of time giving him a bunch of treats, so he's not doing it with me. But I'm going to describe the principles of what you would use. And a quick little sidebar, if you don't want to get him up here, you can get one of those X mats and put it up here. You won't want to sit there, and that'll kind of promote him being in the back seat. All right, so what I'm going to do, actually the Guardian has some. So now when you're doing this, I would not have your windows down like this all the way. I would have them start rolling down to about here just for protection. If he does go in that mode, he's not going to recognize. Now, or he's not going to be able to control himself. We don't running out a window, and that's going to be problematic for all sorts of things. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to use the principle of operant conditioning here. Well, actually classical conditioning. We're going to basically help him have a positive association when people approach. Now, we're going to turn the camera in a second. I'm going to be walking back and forth out here. Hopefully, my camera assistant here is going to be able to look through the camera and make sure she can see the angle. What we want to do is you want to create a scenario where the dog can practice this. So going to a drive-thru is not going to be ideal because you don't have as much space as you're going to have. You're going to see it through the window when I start doing this. So what we want to do is we want to have him have a positive association when people approach. Right now, people approach and he just looks as a boogeyman because he was trapped in the car and sirens, all this stuff is going on. So what we're going to do instead is you're going to basically have some treats, have him in the back, preferably up. Can we get you up? Here, Franklin.
Normally I have him buckled in.
You're in the wrong place, buddy. All right, come up here. Come on, we'll get you back over. Come here. I know you're not supposed to be up here, but we're just going to turn around. All right, Franklin. Franklin, come here, buddy. There you go. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to have a whole bunch of treats. I'm leaving the tricky chain of chicken liver treats. What we want to do is we want to create a situation where he sees the approaching person as a positive. So what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to step out. I'm going to go on the other side of this fence. Well, yeah, I'm going to go around it because I'll rip myself up and try to jump it. So basically, I'm going to start approaching. Now, when you're doing this, you want to enlist a friend, and I would probably find it in your driveway or do a place where your friend's house. There's a lot of space. And again, the windows is down about this much so that he can hear things and smell and all that, but he can't get out in case he does freak out. So what we're going to do is you're going to have a friend approach the car in a slowly, deliberate manner, not super slow, just casual. And basically, when you're doing this, you're watching your dog while your friend approaches either side of the car. And I would practice on this side as well as that side. So basically, what you're going to do is when Franklin gets uncomfortable, he's going to come, he's just hanging out like this. All of a sudden, he's going to lower his head, he's going to stare, he's going to probably close his mouth. You can't see it because I'm wearing this. That's an indication I'm uncomfortable. Most of us wait until the dog is exploding before we interpret that as uncomfortable. When he freezes and looks, that's the point that we need to take note of. The helper is going to stop at that point. So you have to come up with a signal, maybe talk in your earbuds or whatever it is. And so as soon as you say stop, he freezes. Now let's say that he's 10 feet away from the car. Franklin's indicating anything closer than 10 feet, I'm going to freak out. 10 feet is the maximum, the minimum distance that I expect of empty space. So then you're going to have the person walk away like 20 feet so that Franklin goes back to having the open mouth and wiggly and jiggly and nice and relaxed. Then the person's going to approach on the same line, but they're going to stop at 11 feet. When they stop at 11 feet, the Guardian is going to give Franklin a treat and say the word friendly. You can also say amigo, pal, whatever word you want to use. I use friendly. And so what we're saying is when someone approaches, that's an indicator you're about to get a treat. But we stop before he decides that he doesn't like what's going on. I just noticed he's in the camera shot. That's nice. And so basically, the person stops at 11 feet. His mouth doesn't close. You give him a treat and say friendly, and then the person turns around and walks away. So now when someone approaches, it's something good happens. I get a treat. And then when I turn back and look, that person walked away. So not only did I accomplish what I wanted, but I accomplished it without reacting and lunging. The person just went away on their own. And then you practice that, and then I would probably have him practice 11 feet this direction, then 11 feet from the other side of the car, then a little bit of an angle here and a little bit of an angle here. You want to kind of recreate it, but you're stopping 11 feet for all these angles. And also take note of your surroundings. If somebody's mowing the lawn, or there's a weed eater, or a jet ski, or whatever it is, those high-pitched sounds can actually cause stress and anxiety and cause him to act out in a way that he normally wouldn't. So if that's the case, take into account, wait for this jet skier to move away, and then practice. And these practice sessions should be pretty short, not too long. Minute, 2 minutes tops. And remember, you can set him up for success by getting him some exercise first. Just make sure he has at least 10 minutes to recover. And then when you practice this, again, keep it nice, short. And then after you get done, he gets some belly rubs, he gets to play tug of war, whatever is something fun and happy. So after you practice this from all the different angles at 11 feet, and he seems pretty relaxed about it, then the person can try to go to 10 feet. Does he keep his mouth open, and does he have wiggly and jiggly and seem to compose? Then you practice approaching at all the different angles at 10 and stopping at 10 feet, 9 feet, 8 feet. It'll probably take you 3 to 7 or 8 practice sessions before you can get to the point where the person is all the way here. And if he's relaxed, then the person could actually offer him a treat. And I would, again, have the window cracked so the person just pops the treat through, put something here so it, maybe it's over here so that it doesn't go in a place where he can't get the treat. And so now, when the person approaches, I've been conditioned that when they approach, that means when they approach, I'm about to get a treat, and they don't try, no fire trucks come, no hoses come, no sirens, person doesn't get in the car, and when the person gets close enough, the person starts delivering a treat. Now also keep in mind the people that are delivering the treats. Different races, different heights, different weights, I have a beard, men with hats, men with sunglasses, there are gonna be different criteria. Firemen are usually wearing big bulky gear, it's a uniform and they have hat and hoses. So if anytime that he freaks out in your car and gets territorial, what I'd like you to do is have a little notebook somewhere, write down a description of the person, what the person was doing, their gait, their size, their height, there's any smells, are there any other stressors going on in the environment? And then basically what we can learn is, tall man in a beard with a hat, he's gonna be reactive to. So then you find a friend or two who meets those criteria, who can practice and associate that. So now he's like, tall bearded man with a hat, they give the best treats ever. And so now again, he looks at it as a positive. All right, so I'm gonna pantomime just a couple times just so you can see me do this. Although he's not gonna be reactive, I'm just gonna stop when I basically get to the fence. When I move over there, I'm gonna have you turn and look through the camera just so you can kind of see a little bit more of this angle, and we'll practice.
Okay.
You got a bunch of treats?
Yep.
I'm gonna move that around for the moves.
It moves a little, not much.
That's fine, I can do it for you. All right, you got good treats?
Yep.
You got a word that you want to use?
Bud.
But all right. So again, I'm going to walk up, and let's say that when I get to the fence, he freezes. So I stop, give him a treat,
Bud.
and then I turn around and walk away. Now, when you do this, he might not turn away from the person. So I have one little trick that I'm going to go over. Let me come right around and we'll show that. Hey, Franklin. This is a clicker. See how he closes his mouth? This is something you can use. I call this technique click for looks. I'm going to leave one of these with the guardian. So, and every time you're going to do this, you have some treats there handy. Give him a treat. Give him another treat. You're going to do this for about 5 or 6 treats. Now you can toss the treats on the floor or do it like this. So every time the treat goes in his mouth, he hears the click. This is called priming or loading the clicker. You want to do this with about 10 treats, 2 or 3 different times. And I'm going to leave you the trick. So when you go back in, throw them on the floor of your house, you might go. The one thing you never do is don't go. It's not a remote control for your dog. It's to indicate the exact second you did what I wanted. So if you're using this as a training aid for sitting, as soon as the dog's butt hits the ground, you would click, then you would give it a treat, then you would mark it and say the word sit, because that's the command word of what we're doing. So this is for the action. The treat is the payment. And then after that, I'm going to label and tell the dog why we do it. So eventually we can drop this and just pay him, just use the command word. So when you do this, for this exercise, what you're going to do, when the person approaches and Franklin turns and looks at him, you click, that's going to cause him to turn away. Then you're giving him the treat and say bud. And then as soon as the person hears the click, they turn around and walk away. So if Franklin does look at them, he's happy that they're doing what he wanted to do anyways. They're moving away without him having to ask it. So after a while, this clicker becomes really powerful because the dog's like, holy crap, we're in work mode. Somebody's going to give me a whole bunch of treats. I'm in a very amicable mood. And instead of being focused on the boogeyman, I'm focused on when am I going to get that treat. And it also causes him to turn away from the boogeyman and look to you to get that treat. So it kind of facilitates that a little bit. So, and again, take note of this and practice in different locations, different times of day. Try to do it at nighttime, daytime. Go to a Burger King or somewhere. Don't do it in the drive-thru, do it in the parking lot. Dogs don't generalize, so we have to practice a whole lot of different areas. But if you do this right, Franklin will start to associate. When people approach, that's a good thing, gets me a reward, and I don't have to protest. And after a while, when people come up to your car, he'd be looking at you like, who's gonna hook me up with a treat now? All right, well, this is my buddy Franklin, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that gets protective of your car or reactive when people approach.